Did you know Rolex holds 31% of the luxury watch market? For comparison, Omega is in second place at only 7.7%. So the question is, how is Rolex able to achieve such a high status in the luxury watch market? Well, Rolex is quite literally the king at 3 laws of marketing. Today, I'm going to walk you through those 3 laws, how Rolex truly leverages them to be able to achieve that 30%. And in addition, I'm going to show you how you can apply that in your own industry. Let's jump into it. In my opinion, Rolex could be considered a marketing company just as much as it is a luxury watch company. From day one till today, marketing has been one of the most important decisions that the company has made. For instance, even when they picked the name Rolex, this was chosen because it was easily pronounced in many languages, but it also sounded like the sound when you wind a watch. This was just the start of Rolex's marketing genius. But more importantly, they always applied 3 important laws. So let's dive into each law and explain how Rolex used this to the ultimate advantage. Oyster, perpetual, Cerachrome, Cyclops. Out of context, these terms don't mean anything, but what Rolex was able to achieve is taking parts of a watch that existed with other brands and then used their own branded terms to describe their specific process in their watches. And by doing this, they're putting in the consumer's head that it's a higher standard. It's better than the marketplace. Everyone has an automatic watch that self-winds, but no one other than Rolex has a perpetual movement. Others have a waterproof case. Dozens of watches have a waterproof case, but only Rolex has an oyster case. So the key here is to utilize these trademarks or these branded terms to provide a consumer with a more luxurious, more special experience so that the consumer thinks that they don't have what everyone else has. They have specifically what your brand provides. You don't have to be first in the marketplace, but you have to be first in people's minds. First waterproof case with a screw-down crown, not Rolex. First automatic self-minding watch, not Rolex. First watch to represent multiple time zones, not Rolex. But the question is, why in consumers' minds, if you were to ask them who was the first, many people would assume it would be Rolex. Well, the reason they were able to achieve this is because of the marketing that they put behind their products after they made these accomplishments. Even though they weren't first, they were the first to go to market and represent their brand in such a grandiose way with so much marketing spend that most consumers, when you do ask them whether they know very little about watches or a good amount about watches, they would presume it's Rolex because of the amount of marketing. So now when you ask a consumer who was the first to produce an automatic perpetual watch with an automatic movement that self-winds, consumers think Rolex. So the key here is not necessarily to be first, but to be first in the consumer's mind. Third is sponsorship. And as mentioned, you don't have to be first in the marketplace, but you have to be first in the consumer's mind. And one of the best ways to achieve this is through sponsorships. Rolex has always been the king when it comes to sponsorships, and they've been doing this even from the early days. When they came out with their waterproof case, the oyster case, they put a watch around a young woman's neck and had her swim across the English Channel. Now, even though she didn't actually finish the entire swim, Rolex, after the swim, went to the Daily Mail, took out front page ads describing how the oyster case of the Rolex was able to keep perfect time throughout her entire swim in the freezing cold water. Now, this may seem mainstream today, but Rolex has been doing it since day one. Again, 2 men decided to go up to the top of Mount Everest. And what did Rolex do? They took advantage of it. They gave them Rolexes to wear, and as soon as they made their accomplishment, Rolex put all that marketing spend behind it and said, if you want a watch that can keep perfect time to the top of Mount Everest, there's only one watch, and that's Rolex. So utilizing these sponsorships along with the other two laws are really the way that you can bring it to the next level. So you don't need to be first in the marketplace. You just need to be first in the consumer's mind, and sponsorships are one of the best ways you can achieve this. Gaining 30% market share of any industry is quite a feat. And obviously, Rolex has been able to achieve something that most brands only dream of. And they've been able to achieve that by following these 3 laws from day one. Like I said, I think Rolex could be considered one of the best marketers of all time. So take these 3 laws, utilize them with your brand, leverage them as much as possible, and go and grow your business.